is golden, but original clarity is platinum. Here we are. We still alive, So that's a something of a win, you know. And I'm just here just to casually flow with life, and I guess more or less grow some type of maturity with quote unquote everything, right? So that everything is like testing us, because quote unquote everything, end quote, it doesn't always give us what we want. It gives us what we've accomplished. And if we don't get what we want or need because there's some type of mechanism that we're going through to achieve what we want to achieve, and as we're attempting to achieve things, there we could be absent of things, and for whatever reason, as we're absent with certain things, if you're okay with that, then you could be missing some type of optimality. And if you're not going after the optimality, then that's kind of feeding your some type of mode of comparison, which you could want to get out, so you don't have to be with the toxic comparisons respectively. So I don't necessarily have to get astrological with it, because I'm still kind of not it doesn't always have to be that, but it could be. And how we come to share and break it down and understand it together, that's kind of important, just seeing how the admin cadmin body works in different ways, and recalling how it works, and then kind of just going on with your life and just being in your natural self. So I'm not really trying to be too antsy or angsty or pressure within this video. I'm just trying to be whoa, look at those flowers. Whoa, we have a different relationship with God's everything. We have a different relationship with how the wholeness kind of has different divisions respectively. And as we're in the wholeness of the different divisions, those have those unique shadows that's slightly before the planets respectively. And now we're having a unique relationship to more or less go perhaps back to wholeness throughout our lives. And I don't know if I'm going to post the 42-minute video, because it's really raw, it's just really raw. And I'm just here for okay, I'm trying to have a steadfast, earnest, quote unquote, hardworking ethic, end quote, towards my, understanding of, what wholeness is, whatever. But we could stay true to our own divisions of wholeness to retain a certain level of wholeness, but still paradoxically be, kind of not whole, because the other challenges has got the other challenges were just that's in its own process. And obviously there's a time for everything. So it's this wholeness, we could I think it's just the practice, whether we realize or not, of how we are in a maturation process. And obviously within the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, we're all going to approach the quote unquote realization, end quote, of the different types of processes that we're in. And one of them, maybe even mainly, being the spiritual maturation process, respectively. And that maturation process, we all take it lightly, you know. And as we take it lightly, then we wonder, like, you know, then we're like with the wonder why type of shit, you know, like, oh, why is this happening? Well, this path of wholeness is not what we think it is. It's not what we think it is. So, yeah, and Venus that's a boss ass bee right there. She's like, are you with it? Are you with this production shit? Excuse me. I don't know what. Are you with this? I just did a yoga class, so I'm just like, you know, things come up. You know, and then, you know, this whole, like, quote unquote second house dynamic, end quote, like seeing the fruits of the creation, right? Seeing the fruits of creation. And then, are you with this, like, you know, kind of like post-harvest work production ethic, seventh house, you know, where the different types of relatability and how we're like in a format of doing a project, you know. Seventh house dynamic, that's like project format type of shit, you know. Formatting the organization for, you know, the second semester or the second half of, you know, the astrological year. So it's like Yin Venus, respectively second house, Yang Venus, seventh house. And within, you know, just general seventh house, you know, as a Yin seventh house, but the Yin seventh house is Yang Venus. So that seventh house, it's like the Yang Venus is in the seventh house. So and yeah, it's awesome to like kind of like have a distinction between, you know, you could like, I don't want to say this, but I might as well say it. It's like, what if God is watching us, you know? Because obviously people don't like to hear like certain types of truth. It's like, okay, what they're like, so like, and, you know, like, well, what is that going to do? Like, people are like, they're still going to go on with their life. They're still going to do what they're going to do. And all we could really do is like, live, you know, the quote unquote, live like it's our last day, end quote. Try to live your best life. Put effort to live your best life. Because, you know, this life is just a cycle. And whatever happens after the cycle, who's to care if there's like mechanics after this life, you know? You would think you would care, but for some reason we've been caught up not to. And that's neither here or there for me. It's like, okay, that's whatevs. And so this generation type of energy of just how like in between the Earth and, you know, Venus and all the other planets is that moon technology that's, you know, situated in something of a sixth house dynamic / Virgo constellation, depending on how you're looking at the feminine Adam-Cadmian body and the feminine Adam-Cadmian body, the masculine Adam-Cadmian body, depending on how you're looking at that. It's kind of like putting like a lamp post and a certain type of beacon for how the energy was generated from how it kind of like resetted and more or less flushed out on the new moon respectively, and how it got charged and how within its cycle it took on something of like within various different shifts, it went something of like from an 11th house dynamic respectively to a sixth house dynamic. So it's like 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So within that, it's like you could look at it either like, backwards or not backwards. But if you look at it backwards, it's like, the 11th house is just, that's like what the 11th house is, that's like that's kind of like what do you call that? It's kind of like the space station in one aspect, or in one sense. So it's like the space station to like how like the living body to the sixth house of like of how does this, however you want to define and understand the solar system, how does the solar system feel? And this, how the solar system feels is like from the top to the bottom, from the dynamics and the mechanics of like however astrology got put together respectively, is for the Earth project, the moon technology is needed, and the moon technology is situated from the Earth, from in between the Earth and all the other planets respectively, is the moon, and that moon is situated in a certain like alliance within something of a Virgo constellation. And as it's powering the Virgo constellation itself is being powered upon this like moon technology, and that moon technology is activating certain gates within the solar system of the Virgo constellation for us to like receive that Virgo constellation moon technology effect. And that's inhabiting our inner micro, quote unquote astrology body, end quote. And as that's doing that, subtle energy mechanisms are being activated, and we're having a chance to like work with it and upgrade with it. And as we're having a chance to work with it and upgrading it, that moon is generating and activating on a subtle surface level energy level the moon basically, because obviously any planet could be in the particular gate 19, or the gate where the full moon is, gate 59, I believe it is. So like any planet could be in gate 59, but the full moon is going to be landing on gate 59. So since the full moon is going to be landing on gate 59, it's like that energy, that moon technology of like generative like type of culminations of like how all the planets kind of like rely on something of like the moon technology planet energy. It's that it's used in different ways, and it's kind of capping off in a certain way where it's kind of having, it's kind of like that movie The Mummy, when there's a mirror and then you receive the light, and then the light hits the mirror, and the mirror is positioned in a certain way where it hits another mirror, and all the other mirrors are kind of lit up, kind of. That's happening on a subtle level, like kind of like with the moon. Kind of the moon is like, kind of like it would seem like that the moon is like something of this, something of a certain type of light, and the Virgo constellation is something of of a mirror. And as the moon is hitting the Virgo constellation, the quote unquote space mirror, end quote, EOS, of course, original EOS, and then that space mirror is kind of like shining upon every like human being on Earth, and every human being on Earth is receiving that subtle surface level activation, particularly from the moon. And that moon in I believe gate 59, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of it's the energy that's kind of being transferred. The energy that's being transferred is the culmination of like planetary energies. It's hitting you could look at respectively, you could look at the gates as something as like something that reflects, some things that reflect, and as it's reflecting, that reflection is like that moon energy that's reflecting off the Virgo constellation, we're receiving that Virgo constellation amplification from the moon, and that moon is provoking us to feel how we relate to wherever Virgo is in one of your houses, and wherever that is, a certain gate is being, amplified in what is our strategy for, how we deal with our early, self, definition and progression of what our sexuality is. And I say early because the moon is itself is like, that's a Cancer ruled planet. So the moon is also like, that's like the need and that's the fuel need. It's the need of fuel, of just how we like kind of like willpower our body for us to like, feel and love, have self-love. The moon is kind of like self-love, low key too, like physical self-love. So since the moon is like physical self-love, we need that physical self-love so we can actually like feel good and operate in society, and use that fuel to keep like just keeping the human project going, because it's a necessary component. So with all that being said, the moon being in this gate, I say it's like our early definition of what our quote unquote sexuality is, end quote, because that's what gate 59 is. And I say early because the moon is kind of relating to the early home life as well too. We grew up relating to the moon technology energy, whether we realize it or not, and we're still with it, and we're still going to have many, many more moons to go after this life, regardless of how you feel and your changing perception. Because obviously I know how like people could think and stuff. Just like I get it, But within that being said, so the moon is kind of reflecting, or the Virgo constellation is reflecting the moon in gate 59, and that's, we're all like kind of like, wherever we're at in our life, where it's kind of like that we're being provoked on how we operate within the society, and how we, approach love itself, how we approach our partners, how we approach the mating in itself. The moon is giving us the energy within the Virgo constellation, and the Virgo constellation might express itself differently throughout your houses. So like, like I'm like flowing on, like, I'm not necessarily like trying to be too astrology with it, because I could do Virgo in the houses, but I rather like, I'm just kind of like, I'm more like, I just did a yoga class. So it's like, I'm just like, I came here to be like, not like, I'm here to make this point, everyone listen to me. And no, I'm not trying to be like that. I'm not trying to be like everyone listen to me. No, I'm trying to be me and follow the purpose. That's what I'm trying to do. And just basically call things how they are. And if people don't like that, then how do you, truth changes us for the better. Clarity changes us for the better. If there aren't people who are calling things how they are, then you're going to reduce the level of productive change, period. And if you don't like the productive change, then there's like, that doesn't make sense, because that's the best thing to thrive off of, productive change, because it's change for the better. So if you don't like that, then there's just a misarrangement, or there's just some type of misalignment within your constructive place in the real constructive society. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. So, and obviously, like, so just going, like, zenning out, if you can, that's a miracle. And seeing how, like, obviously people are going to do what they're going to do, but, like, calling things how they are, just, like, calling things how they are. So I don't know if I'm gonna like post the the underground video today, but like, there's so many like different vantage points where things could just be kind of like interpreted and kind of like already kind of like engaged with and interacted with. Like we're interdependent, you know? Like there's an interdependent thing going on. And obviously there's many fill in the blanks, you know, just generally saying that. And as there's many fill in the blanks, it's like there's just fill in the blanks, you know, just generally saying that. And where was I at? Yeah, I don't want to get too astrology with it. But and if I do release the video later, there's some disclaimers that are there. I never claim to be shit, first of all. Second of all, you know, I'm if I ever say something rude, the reason I said something rude is because there's a neutral part in me where it kind of needs to be said, so therefore it could initially be transformed. Because if it's not said and we don't recognize it, then the transformation doesn't happen. So if we're wanting a particular type of balanced transformation for you to keep feeling good, supposedly, but we're all at different levels, no judgment, then we're gonna have to say certain things or bring a particular type of surface level mental awareness for a particular type of transformation, so you can have your own inner balanced thread of you depending on yourself to feel good. Because obviously, like, you know, we all grow up young to old, and as we all grow up, there's these moments and these situations that we could be caught in that you never want them to end, right? You never want the good times to end. Well, the good times are going to end sometimes, in not any specific context. Good times are going to end. So what are you going to do when the good times end? You have to depend on yourself. When no one's there, you have to depend on yourself. When the good times end, you have to depend on yourself. Like, and that can mean, obviously, that can mean so many different things, but you having to depend on yourself, just generally, like, collectively. And what that means is, like, but obviously, as growing up from a baby human to wherever you're at right now, there's nuances of, like, how we have to depend on others, you know? But there's nuances on how we could be independent. And the nuances on how you could be independent, that's what makes an energetic leader, respectively. And I use that word, like, lightly, you know, because I don't want to, like, I don't want to necessarily, like, claim anything. But if I were to release this video later, if I say something rude, it's because there's a particular point in why I'm saying it. We could culminate, and we could pick up, you know, we could kind of brush away our doubting mind, and we could pick up our quote unquote confidence in ourselves, end quote, and where we could tell ourselves we can transform this. We don't have to be offended by this. There's a point behind this. We don't have to be offended by the rude comments. That's emotional resiliency. We don't have to be offended by, oh, he said that. No, there's a point behind it. And the point being is so it could be transformed, respectively. Because obviously I'm trying to, like, you know, we're all kind of like a guitar. We're all kind of like a musical instrument, seriously, respectively. Sometimes the guitar gets out of tuned. No joke. And sometimes, like any human being, no judgment, it's not bad, not good. Sometimes the guitar needs to be tuned. And if, like, you know, obviously, like, I understand the whole fucking, like, you know, the quote unquote dark mind and shit, end quote. Oh, let's fuck, like I understand that. So it's like, the point of why I'm doing this is to, like, quote unquote, after you die, you could tell God you did your best, end quote, within everything you did, with every day you fucking had, respectively, as you lived your life. As you lived your life, you want to quote unquote tell God, end quote, after you die, quote unquote, end quote. And obviously, like, I'm not giving any particular definition of what God is. That's for you to find out. I would like to encourage people to like kind of see it in like, you gave it your best, like for real though, like it being like a thing, like you're doing your life for you. But obviously you can't go like, it's not like there's like a luck dynamic, because even though someone could perceive fools rush in, end quote, it doesn't, that's just one perception, because what we're kind of leveraging out of, it's not necessarily exactly that, because it's contributing to a purpose for wholeness, and it's unknown on a subtle level coming out of the wholeness purpose. So, because if someone asks me like, okay, how do you take constructive criticism? Well, you got to tell me. Like, I'm here. The thing that kind of, what's a parallel pillar to constructive criticism and you taking it or giving it? It's a really, like, for real, like a legit parallel pillar. It's transparency. Because once you're more transparent, you're kind of a clear filter for any type of criticism to go in and out of you, optimal wise, balanced wise, productive wise. So the transparency is needed, and we're underplaying the transparency. But it's up to you to grow with your transparency however you want. So I'm still pondering if I'm going to release the 42-minute video. I'm like, because obviously, like, everything's kind of like a teeter-totter effect. It's like, yay, nay, no, yes, no, yay, nay, no, yes. And as it's doing that, yay, nay, yo, yes, yay, nay, no, yes, yay, nay, like, and I ain't got, like, and as it's doing that, if it's meant to, it's like, it's kind of one of those things, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Is it like, will it really resonate with the collective and what the collective needs? The collective of Earth, the global type of, the global tribes, the global tribes, and like, and it's up to it's up to me, and perhaps I could influence anybody else to particularly practice non-judgment. Because if you particularly practice non-judgment, then you could be like, okay, there's a reason behind this. And once you know the reason, you could kind of like just chill out. Just chill, Just take a chill pill. I'm not saying that I'm talking to me. Everything I've ever said, I'm just reflecting. It's like more or less kind of being reflected back to me, And what else was I saying earlier? Just kind of like so like starting from a place of we don't know our relationship with wholeness respectively, but we could, and let everyone like do themselves, like just do you, Such a beautiful basic principle. Just do you, do your best, non-judgment, so you could clear up the psychological surface level societal, quote unquote toxicity mentalities, end quote. Because once you start to like kind of like wash, or like kind of like once the toxicity mentalities are kind of approached from different types of like mental energy practices, then that's kind of like, it kind of frees up something of like something that's something that's just like it, you know, the unnecessary things that weigh you down, that could be more or less freed up. So where am I at? And I'm like, so it's like so we can only do our best, you know? Like, it's up to, like, did we practice with our right hemisphere intuition? And if not, that's okay. There's you know, your soul could. I'm not trying to fault people who have been engrossed in, you know, left hemisphere only type of stuff. I'm not trying to fault that. Trying to fault that. So yeah, we could only like so obviously, like, the scales within your inner energy self, it's always like subject to be corrected, to maybe offsetted in a particular way. And if it's too offsetted, it could, there's a miracle process where it could be, you know, going back to where it could be like properly balanced. And within the proper balance, sometimes you could like, you know, a certain talent gets developed when you engage within society, pretty much. Just basic resiliency. That's what's being built. So if you like kind of like, you're too much like right hemisphere, like, let's just take care of my fucking spirit shit, and like you're kind of like away from society, then, you know, the fates might just like respond differently, respectively. Or you might have a, you know, turn of a leaf. I don't know how the saying goes. And where you want to like maybe interact with society, but, you know, maybe like, I'm not trying to be like too personal here, but like within my life, you know, I feel like I just kind of like was like, there was a certain right hemisphere of me where like I just focused on like, you know, how you say it, I just focused on you know, taking care of like, you know, something that's more quote unquote spiritual, end quote. And now I'm here to kind of like, I'm here in the stage of life and society to kind of like, you know, work on that, which has been off balanced or whatever. And that's the quote unquote, that's a miracle that God gives you, is like, you have a chance to work on shit, you know? But like, if you want to get more real and raw and like, I guess, Pluto with it, end quote, how much time do we have left? You know, that's on some Pluto shit. Not everybody wants to face the Pluto shit. How much time do we have left? Generally, like, how much time do we have left? And after the time hits, you know, whatever, you know, midnight glass final hour or whatever the fuck, then what then? You know, what judges us after, respectively, and on a neutral basis. Like, and that's just like, and I'm saying it neutrally because I'm trying to understand how things work, you know, for me. And if you get like, you know, if you get inspired, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool too. So I think I'm gonna like keep it kind of brief here. I'm gonna keep it kind of brief because but like in my life, I'm just like I realize, like, within just the general maturation process, we have to interact with people, kind of, or like more so, yes, like we have to interact with society pretty much. And as we're interacting with society, the society itself has different shades of the left hemisphere, and the different shades of the left hemisphere, there's some on a different energy level. Some of the one context of the left hemisphere could be something of have obsoletism in it, and as it has obsolete, it's up to us to like redefine the left hemisphere in the now and the future respectively. And as that left hemisphere gets defined, that's where the talent is. It's how that's getting transformed. And as that's getting transformed, I don't know if you could see my eyes. The yoga's like, hot yoga's like, But the left hemisphere is the left hemisphere is it's it's kind of calling us, it's calling us to maintain itself, like from the society level and from your individual level. It's like because we need the left hemisphere to like see, like what things are, and they're casual, like objectivality-ness, or their objectivality-hood, pretty much. So it's like, yeah, work with the just work with it, nothing in particular, but like maybe like whatever you think is particularly important, whatever's importantly particular for you, we get to work with that. Cool. So should I keep trying to be astrology with it, or should I just conclude the video? I don't know. Should I keep trying to be astrology with it, or should I conclude the video? I don't know if you could see my eyes. So approach, yeah, the resonance, the resonance does what it does. Take care of yourself. There shouldn't be any, if there's shame, if you're getting shamed for taking care of yourself, hopefully the intuitive red flag goes off, right? Get support for taking care of yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself, Venus in Aquarius, take care of, I guess, your destiny, right? Take care of work with your destiny. Be proud of your destiny. Be proud where you come from. Be proud of just generally being alive. Perhaps being proud of where we came from, or not. Yeah, so something of a Pluto theme is like, how much time do we got left? And for whatever reason, there's so many trick nuances within the maturation process. Within the maturation process, there's always more things, staple things, structural things, rudimentary things that we didn't know, but we could gracefully come to know, that are working something of a background, like a Pluto theme. That's like, we could have like our own unique, like emotional reaction to like just generally like death or whatever. And death is like, that's a beautiful thing. Metaphorically, transformation, realization, maturation, even something of like a, what do you call that? Urgency. Pluto's could be something of an urgency. Like, how much time do we have left? We're all so nuancedly different on the energy maturation process of our lives from here till, quote unquote, forever, end quote. And that's the beauty of like the quote unquote, soul journey or whatever, end quote. Seeing how things are like kind of like introduced as like an Earth project, right? And within that Earth project, there are mechanics, different types of mechanics of energies that are within Earth. Whether you understand it or not, they're still there. When you drive a car, you need the motor. When you drive a car, you need the steering wheel. When you drive a car, you need the tires, such as the Earth and the solar system needs certain things. Alarm, wake up. And it could go without saying, It could go without saying, but like simultaneously it could go without saying, or simultaneously you can contemplate the different particular types of mechanisms. I'm gonna jump this fence. Ooh, crack, snapper, pibbity, pop, lock and drop it. But ooh, look at, what's that? Hula. But yeah, so purpose, right? Purpose. What is purpose? And that's another thing, that the soul has its own expression. The soul has its own message. Like, what really is purpose? Seriously though, like, what really is purpose if not showing up and interacting with constructive things that support you, a steep reciprocity with whatever the F quote unquote God is, end quote. I don't necessarily like using that word, because the etymological, kind of cachet and baggage, neutrally speaking, that it could carry. But like that's something that's kind of like, I do this so I could kind of like, quote unquote purify myself, end quote. What is purpose? That's part of it. What is purpose? You have your purpose to express who you are. That's great. That is great. I'm here for the balance of it. And I gracefully recognize casual, nuanced, quote unquote polarities, end quote. Okay. You could have a mindset where like, so, well, me too, but in a more like oh God, I have to be careful with the words, obviously, but in a more like just in a different way, in a different way. It's just different way. There's different like styles, So yeah, it's like, so there's different types of like, I don't care. It's not just you, or is it, says the paradox. It's not just you, or is it, says the paradox. Shout out to the guys. Shout out to them guys. So within, a full moon happening tomorrow, based on where we've came on our journey, we have a different disposition on how to just interact and relate with that. And I'm not trying to be like, I'm trying to like lean out of this dualism. And as I lean out of this dualism, the quote unquote internal energy engineering is reciprocated differently from us to whatever the F quote unquote source end quote really is. I didn't think I was gonna like, do this. I felt, I just came on, approaching global tribes. There's quote unquote hope, end quote. But you don't even have to look at it like that. It's just kind of like it's kind of working for real progression, but for whatever reason we're just not with that for some reason. Ready to face, never mind with the lyrical spew. Look at that tree. That tree, I don't think that tree can. But yeah, where was I at? Yeah, what is purpose? What is purpose? What's the point of purpose? What is purpose doing for me? Kind of shit. Well, maybe it's like the inner spiritual lubrication to fucking keep all this shit going, maybe. Think of that one. Yeah. What is purpose? Silence is golden. Original clarity is platinum. Silence is golden. Original clarity is platinum. So we could and in the masculine admin cadmian body, third house Taurus. So it's like, expanding the communication field casually, Sagittarius, masculine evolution, Pisces, feminine evolution. And within that masculine and feminine evolution, the masculine evolution is being communicated within Jupiter being in Taurus. So there's the masculine evolution in this, Taurian type of field of communication. There's this, there's a particular type of esoteric dichotomy between the masculine evolution and the feminine evolution. And that particular type of esoteric dichotomy is we get polarized on one and we forget the other. I might have to stop the video. Let me see the. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video because my battery and shit. But it said 15%, but it's like, oh shit. But so there's this pursuance front in the masculine admin cadmian body where Taurus is in the third house. So there's global communications on just, how the tech shit is running, daily tasks and tech shit. Taurus in the third house. Thank you guys.